All right, guys, we are live. Let me cue the countdown. We'll be right back with an awesome show for you. We'll see you in just a second. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Jordan Stanley Payne. I am the founder of the KNGDM Center as well as Black Gold Trading. I'm going to give it maybe 30 seconds to a minute, see if we don't get a couple people that join in live. And then I've got a couple different topics for you today. First one being being poor and middle class is killing you. So I'm going to explain what that means and go over first and foremost the problem, and then kind of some different things that you can do if you are poor or feel like you're middle class. As you guys are tuning in, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Looks like we got Mr. Jefferson on. What's up, man? Where are you guys tuning in from? I'd love to know. So guys, we do these shows to spread awareness, to help people to start to combat some of the financial hardship and difficulties that people face, because our goal and our mission as an organization is to help people become financially free. Okay, so that's where we're coming from. Because I'm gonna get my screen set up here, and then we'll be good to rock and roll. Looks like we had a couple more people join. Where are you guys tuning in from? We are over in Canton, Ohio. Super cold. Super cold. So hopefully you guys can see this. I might make it just a hair bigger. So in doing some research, I'll just jump right into it. In doing some research and talking to literally thousands of people, we've worked with 10,000. Our audience and our reach is significantly higher than 10,000. But in talking to people, in being involved in people's lives and going through where they at, where they trying to get to, where they're struggling. We do a lot of financial audits for people. So I'm going to go through this. It could potentially upset you, but let me go through the problem and then we'll start to get into some tactic, okay? Most people are one blank away from collapse. This is one flat tire. This is one alternator going out. This is one furnace that stops working, an air conditioning, a hole in your roof, a medical bill, you name it. Maybe a tax bill, maybe whatever. Most people are one something away from financial collapse, meaning they don't have it. They don't have it. So just a quick Google shows that the median savings account balance in the US is $1,200. Now that was recorded years ago. I can tell you right now it's not $1,200. A lot of people that I'm talking to are struggling to come up with 100 or 200. I want you to imagine $1,000 furnace repair. What happens in that scenario? What happens in that situation? How do those people actually survive? They don't have it. So they either have to go borrow it or they have to go into debt just to survive. It's cold as heck out right now. I was talking to my dad yesterday, 40, 50 below zero in Montana, no power. Furnaces go out. You guys get my point here. But almost all poor and middle class people are really, it's not even paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck isn't even cutting it anymore. So I want to ask you guys some questions. Number one is who gets better education? You can answer in the chat if you want. Who gets better education? Wealthy people or the poor and middle class? Better education. Furthermore, is it the same? Is it the same topics? Is it the same curriculum? Go to a very, very, very fancy private school versus, a public school. Is it the same curriculum? Is it the same textbook? Yes or no? Who gets better education? How about healthcare? Who gets better healthcare? Wealthy people or the poor and middle class? Is it the same healthcare? Who pays more taxes? Wealthy people or the poor and middle class? You guys can, like I said, you can feel free to comment down below if you want, or you can just answer it silently to yourself. Who pays more taxes? You might be shocked if I told you that it's actually the poor and middle class actually pay more taxes. It's not the wealthy. Who actually participates in a 401k? Is it wealthy people? You know, Bill Gates got a 401k, or is it poor and middle class? 401k. So in case you guys didn't know, there's a lot that happened in the 70s. 1971, we were taken off of the gold standard, meaning money was now fake. It wasn't tied to anything. It wasn't tethered to anything. So that was 1971. In 1978, our government decided that we needed the Revenue Act of 1978, where now no longer were employers responsible for taking care of their employees, which is how it used to be. You know, you'd go and you'd work really, really hard for, you know, Ford or a factory, like whatever it might be. And then you would retire and they would take care of you. You'd have a pension. 1978, we decided to stop doing that. We decided to essentially force people into a 401k, the poor and middle class people into a 401k. So in what neighborhood is there better food options? Low and median or upper? So is there better food options in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood? If I go to, I'm over in Canton, Ohio. So if I go to, you know, the hood of Canton or Akron, if we even have one, I don't know. Would I see better food options, meaning food that is actually decent for you, food that will actually fuel your body, food that will not kill you, or will I see the opposite? Is it even food? What if I told you that most of it isn't even actual food? Furthermore, what's cheaper, good food or bad food? Food that's good for you or food that's bad for you? You guys getting pissed off yet? How about the obesity rate? Is it higher in poor people, middle class people, or wealthy people? What if I told you that it's 72% higher in one or the other? I'll let you guys decide. Bad food is cheaper. Interesting. Obesity rate, any guesses? How about the suicide rate? Who gets cancer more? Wealthy people or poor and middle class people? And then why is that? Does it have anything to do with the cheaper food and the neighborhood food options? Does it have anything to do with the healthcare? So we have obesity and suicide rate, and we have cancer. Is medicine the same? You know, let's say that I've got my liver, like I got a liver issue or a kidney issue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Am I more likely to get one if I'm poor or if I'm wealthy? Is the medicine the same? So do they prescribe the same medication to poor and middle class people or to wealthy people? Any guesses? Who's in more debt? I'm sure a lot of people are starting to get uncomfortable. Who's in more debt? Who has better credit? Who can't afford better help, better tools, better coaches, better systems? Why? So a lot of people that our poor and middle class are very, very, very nonchalant. Like they're very chill. You should be, when you read this, and I'll give you guys the answers in case you guys just didn't know. Better education, obviously, wealthy people. Better healthcare, wealthy people. Who pays more taxes? Poor people. Who participates in a 401k? Poor people. Poor and middle class. They're both, it's the same thing. In what neighborhood is there better food? Wealthy neighborhoods. What's cheaper, good food or bad food? Bad food is cheaper. Obesity rate, 72% higher in poor and middle class people. Suicide rate significantly higher in poor and middle class. Crime, poor and middle class. Who gets cancer more? Poor and middle class. Is the medication the same? Absolutely not. Who's in more debt? This is a trick question. Depends on how you look at bad debt, poor people, good debt, wealthy people. Who has better credit? Wealthy people. Who can't afford better help? Poor people. Why? Well, you tell me. So, guys, what I'm hearing is it's literally dangerous to be poor. It is literally dangerous to be middle class. That's what I'm hearing. But most poor and middle class people are not outraged. Like nobody's rioting in the streets about food. You got a McDonald's, right? You're good, right? That's real food, right? You go to a gas station in a poor part of town versus a gas station in a rich part of town. Is what's in those stores different? But there's no outrage. I'm outraged for the poor and middle class. Like I'm outraged for you. The fact that you don't get the same opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your food is crap. Your medicine is crap. You get worse this, worse that. I'm outraged for you. But very, very few poor and middle class people are outraged. And what I think, and going back to the depression and the anxiety and the suicide rate, I think they've just kind of come to accept it. I think they've just kind of, this is just life. This is what I grew up in. This is the environment I grew up in. I grew up doing this, and this is what I learned in my school, and this is the medication that we take, and this is the food that we eat in my family. It's just normal. It's just normal. And I think that people have just come to accept it. So I've got on the screen, one blank can change your financial future. So for a lot of people, let's say, like my wife does, here's some examples that most people won't do. And that's fine. You're not outraged. That's fine. My wife would go and get a free dresser and flip it. The one that she just sold was $450. If you are poor and middle class, that percentage of your income, let's just call it $500, just a round number. $500, adding $500 to your income in a month might be a significant boost. That $500 might be able to start the process for you. That $500 might be able to, maybe you can get a course on how to do blank. Maybe you can go out and get some curriculum or some books on how to do blank. Maybe you can hire a coach. I don't know. Maybe you can take classes online. I don't know. It could change your life. But we don't think like that. We go to work, come home, eat our crappy food, take our crappy pills, drink our crappy beer, and we go to sleep in our crappy beds, and then we wake up the next day to go to our crappy job. There's no outrage. So we're not going to go out and get a dresser and paint it and flip it for $500. Is this making sense to anybody? This is poor and middle class. And being poor and middle class is literally killing you. So I want to give you guys some things that you could do. Flipping furniture is one of them. Now, and again, coming from a little bit of perspective here, this is from talking to hundreds of people in the past couple of months that don't even have $100. They don't even have $100. It costs $100 to fill up my gas tank. They don't have that. Okay. So getting something for free. I'm gonna jump out of screen share. Getting something for free and flipping it, $100, $50, whatever it might be, could be the start of changing your life. Something like there's like these different like donation options. Like I'm not saying like go give blood, but you get my point. There's these different options. When I was struggling financially, I would flip vehicles. I remember borrowing like 300, 500 bucks from somebody, getting a vehicle and selling it for 1,500 bucks. And I took that 1,500 bucks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because I didn't have money. But I wasn't sitting on my butt just living life, because the life that I was living is not what I wanted. Very, very, very shortly after this part of my story, I made $500,000, like a couple months later. Okay. So there's all of these options for you. There's like these, if you just Google top 50 ways to make extra money, you could, right? But being poor and middle class is killing people. It is killing you. And you can either accept it or you can do something about it. Does that make sense? Did I offend anybody? Like, you really should be outraged. Like, it should bother you. Everything I just talked about, it should bother you. You should wake up in the morning bothered and be inspired to go out and do something about it. Not fall into, well, this is just how it is. You know, I hear people that say, that's just how it is for people like me. No, that was a choice. You know, the food stuff, you know, it's just how it is around here. No, that's a choice. You choose. So you pick a path, guys. You pick a path. You go down, I'm gonna do something about it. And it's gonna piss me off, but in a good way. It's gonna piss me off and inspire me to take action, path number one. Or I'm just gonna accept how it is. It's how it was for my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, before we immigrated here, you know, from wherever, Ireland or whatever. That's just how it was, and that's just how it's gonna be. And that is my destiny. I'm destined for blank. It's a choice. You have a path. You have two choices. You know, we have there's shows like this that you can join for free and begin to get educated. You know, you could start one of our options that we provide for people is a PAM account, which somebody else trades for you. You can start with a minimum of $100 and start to get passive income. You could start to get the ball moving. You're not too old. It's not too late. You don't have too little time. You have enough time. You have plenty of time. Let's just take a guess. Who do you think consumes more Netflix and YouTube and Hulu? Poor or middle and lower class? Who spends more time at the bar? Poor and middle class or wealthy people? Who spends more time going to concerts and football games and basketball games? Poor and middle class people or wealthy people? Poor and middle class. See, you do have time. You're not too old. You're not too this. You're not too that. You simply make a choice. Does that make sense? So that's my encouragement. Get around the right people. A lot of times your surroundings have a massive impact. If everyone around you is broke, you've got to get out of that environment. If nobody is talking about getting better every day, you're in the wrong environment. Cool. That's all I've got for you guys. Think about it. Think about the options that you have, the two paths in front of you. Read through that list one more time for anybody that jumped in late. I'll pull it back up. Read through this list. And it's okay to be mad. It's okay to get PO'd. I am one blank away from financial collapse. I'm one furnace away. I'm one refrigerator going out. I'm one unexpected hospital bill, or something happens to my car. I'm one blank away from collapse. That should be infuriating. And look at the education, healthcare, and taxes, and 401k, the neighborhood and the food options. Look at the, what's cheaper, the good food or the bad food. Look at the obesity rate and the suicide rate and the cancer rate. I don't think you guys think about this stuff. The cancer rate, and then why? Look at the medication, look at debt, look at credit, look at affording better help. It's okay to look at that and get a little bit fired up and say, man, this is not right. This isn't right. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to start the change in my family. It might not end with me. In fact, it can't end with me, but I'm going to start something. We're going to start eating differently. We're going to start getting better education. Even if it doesn't happen in school, we're going to start getting better education at home. We're going to eat better. We're going to start growing our own food. Okay? We're going to start affording better things. We're going to go out of our way to create the money that we need to become different than where we are right now. There's a message. If you're not in the Kingdom Center, join here for more mindset and financial freedom help. members.thekngdmcenter.biz. Highly recommend you guys get around some good people. Okay? That's all I've got for you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Keep this in mind. Get a little bit fired up, and we'll see you guys soon.